So this is your 3D calf stretch in the center. So what we're going to do is we're coming in to our traditional calf stretch. So we're making sure we're on those beautiful train tracks here, so that back foot's not all wonky, it's really nice and straight. Using tape or anything you need to keep them directly straight, so not one behind another, but you've got those two train tracks. From there, I want you to find your deepest stretch, and then we're going to pull back. Okay, so we're going at probably about 40 to 60% of your stretch. So not a lot of tension on the leg. Now we're going to imagine this is your femur, this is your pelvis, so the femur sits into the hip joint. And we're going to do this kind of motion right in here. Alright, so we're going to open and close. It's a really small movement, and this is one of the movements where everyone will go, am I doing it right? What you should be feeling if you're doing it right is not a squeeze of the glute. You should feel a rotation in the hip. And that rotation in the hip will travel down the leg, and you'll hopefully be able to see down to my ankle, I'm getting some mobility through there. So I'm just going to change over and do it on the other leg facing you. So once again, come into a big stretch, pull it back off, and then hip bone. And sometimes it can help if you actually push the same arm as leg, and then you rotate in the shoulder joint, because that's the same movement we want in the hip joint. So sometimes we can help our brain by going, hey, because this one's a little bit easier, we can go, hey, this is what I want here. And if you can feel the hip bone rotating, the thigh bone rotating in the hip bone, we're gold. It might not be big. When I first started doing this, I barely got any movement at all. And if I don't do this on a regular basis, sometimes I don't get a lot of movement either. But it's one of those ones that you should see some improvement over time. And by time, I mean sometimes, depends how often you're doing it. Could be a month, could be 2 months, yep. But you should see some improvement if you're doing it regularly in a couple of sessions.